Hey yo, it's your boy Zero. How my number one's doing this fine beginning of the year? I've been away quite a long time because of having a life. Wow, imagine that, right? I've been absent due to work, and I'm glad for you guys sticking around because of even if I was not producing content, and for checking up on me as well. I really do appreciate the support. I'm even for being gone for a few weeks. I get a couple hundred subscribers. Thank you very much for the support. I really appreciate that, especially as someone who's not, someone personally. So I'm very grateful for that. And anyways, let's get to the actual meat and potatoes of this video here. We finally have a response from DigiTrevX, or Digi, the modeler and former project manager for Project Melody. He has a TwitLonger response that we'll see in the video here. And the only activity he really has been actually doing is a few retweets, one Christmas tweet, and then a hey, I'm working through things right now kind of tweet. And so we finally actually have a response from him. I have my own opinion on it, and I'll definitely say something about it in this video. And so this follows a DMCA strike that he issued towards Project Melody, and we had a video that also talked about his passive aggressive kind of tweets that he had about Project Melody. He wanted to say something, it seems, but no one really knew what he was talking about. I guess some people did, but I definitely didn't, as someone looks outside looking in. And this was a tweet that came out on New Year's Eve, and I have links to both the original tweet and the TwitLonger archived. So if you want to take a look at that, I'll leave that in the description below. And the TwitLonger, because it's so long, I gotta tell you, it's right ahead. It's a 45 to an hour minute read. A 45 minute to an hour minute read, if depending on your kind of reading speed. So I'll just warn you about that. If you're gonna read that, put some time aside for that. If you're gonna read it, and as well, because it's so long, this video is gonna be somewhat longer than my regular videos. So you can put me in the background. If you can do that, please do that. I'm trying to summarize what I think are key points in his statement, and it, to me, I'll put it right out, I feel like it's just a cry for attention. And I was able to read a little bit on the day it came out, and finally making a video, guys. And I glanced over it. It just seems like a cry for attention, and of course I'm feeding into it, because I admit that I'm guilty of feeding into that. And before we get started, I would just want to say, if you want to help support the channel, leave a like. Share this video for those who don't have an hour to read a long TwitLonger. I'd be very appreciated. I think this information is really important for people who are trying to look at this situation. And if you want to study the channel as well, that'd be heavily appreciated, especially because I have what I feel like is a documentary on VTubers in the works right now. I'll be excited to do that, and looking forward to 2,000 subscribers soon. Again, very happy for you guys supporting me despite me being inactive for about a month. I think it's almost a month. Anyways, let's review this document in full. And we have it right here pulled up. And just want a quick little shout out just to Kay, or Monomogi on Twitter. She did this fine work of Ray here with her headphones. I really like a lot. Thanks to Kitsune Ren for designing that with me. And I want to preface by also saying that there's a phrase that he used that was very unfamiliar to me. The phrase he used is blackballing. I've never heard that before. And from what I have found, it means to secretly reject, exclude, or boycott things. And just for the sake of this video, I'm just say blackmail, or not blackmail, sorry, blacklist. Not doing any blackmail here, I hope. Blacklist is what I'm going to use for this video. And it's just kind of weird because, again, looking at his previous tweets, he used the word mole before. Again, these two terms are not very common from what I have seen. Maybe it is in his circles. And I'll be stopping in the middle of this document here and there to give my thoughts on things. So first thing I want to comment on is the title here. I highlighted the title because he says, I'm leaving this in 2020. And I just feel it's, again, try to get attention, because this was tweeted out on the 31st of December. And if it was me and I was saying I want to leave things in 2020, I would very much want to talk about it much earlier than December 31st, the last day of the year. So again, it's attention whoring, I feel. And I'm not claiming it's attention whoring, but it just feels like it from how it's been presented. He wants to highlight a few things here. So there's 3 statements here. First, his issues are mainly with Melody only and has not involved any other third parties directly. Another one was that he was not contracted with Melody. So that's a key point that I will bring up multiple times in here, and he will also bring it up, and it's just ironic to me, okay? And the last part here is that he did not intend to dox Melody or even suggest the idea of holding her character model for ransom. The character model was never discussed, he says, but she did bring it up in a DM in my last video covering this guy. Well, my last videos covering this. She did bring up DM saying, hey, can I have rights to this model? What rights do I have to this model? Like, I think this is a false statement. The character model has been discussed. And there's no doxing, no purposeful doxing on his end. And his last interaction with Melody felt complicated. Now, it's weird because what I'm seeing here, and I don't entirely understand the situation, is that apparently it seems like two people are running the Melody, the Project Melody Twitter account, or not. I'm not sure. Again, I address more of this at the end with my final thoughts on this. So I'm confused as to who these two people might be. My assumption due to what has been said is that there's a shared account, and Melody and her manager are managing it or running it. So that's what's strange to me. I don't really understand that part. And we move on to actually talking about the early development. He breaks this up into nice chunks, I feel. And the very first thing here is we find out that he was contacted through DeviantArt by someone who is, I guess, her manager, as it says here. I will also call them her manager for now, or manager, for this video. And he didn't take the offer initially for 3 reasons. He says it's because it's adult content, he has his own things he needs to work on, and he doesn't know these people and know kind of what kind of work they've done or what they know, right? And he says after 2.5 months, he realized I had some time to do Melody's project. I had a change of heart, so it could be done. Now, I don't know why the whole adult thing just suddenly is not a problem anymore. And they didn't know how successful this thing would be. And this imager link, if I recall correctly, says that they were surprised how successful Project Melody was back in February 2020. That was like I think one of the first days that she streamed. But that's the thing. They talk here. This is why we never discussed contracts. That makes some sense there. This started out as a model commission, but later transitioned into a full-time job with no pay, no contract, and that is where the problems begin. I'll touch on that in a bit. This is such a key point in all of this, too. No contract was discussed. I want to emphasize that. He took on the role as a project manager and didn't ask for compensation. And that's all on him. He could have done that. He says here that he concepted everything, and the only kind of parameters apparently that Melody gave was purple hair and faded tips and the Band-Aid as one of her key features. And he said that he did all of that work. It took over 1.5 months of work in a lot of things. He lists here, much of this work was me building solutions from scratch myself because Melody and the manager had no experience with this or knew what we could or couldn't do, but we were very enthusiastic. Like, I don't know who has experience in what in this situation, but if he has done a lot of I know that Digi has done 3D modeling in the past and rigging for those things. He's worked with Moe Natsumi, so that's a 3D model. He's done work for them, so that's what I know. But he does have the talent for that. He does have the knowledge. But it just sounds a little bit like he's trying to really sell himself here. And here's what's funny to me. He says here the bill was $5,000 USD. He undercut himself, and he says, if I was any skilled person working for this amount of time, would be owed a lot. And he said it was the low end because it was basically $8,000. But then he felt sympathetic and didn't ask for the full amount. That to me sounds like it's his own problem. He discounted it, felt sympathetic, and that also reminds me he did something very similar to for another former VTuber, Ruka, which I do discuss in one of my videos before. And Ruka was a VTuber that he made a model for, that has quit and now works under a different company, under a different persona as well. You can find out for yourself if you want to look them up. Week 3 here. Almost the third week in designing and modeling her character model, I connected to Melody's team with the people who would later be Giga and talk about the idea of partnering. So this was the kind of partnership that Melody mentioned before. Although Giga wasn't directly content, this is people who would become Giga. They didn't want to join in on this because they didn't want to be involved in adult content, like we said here. Transition from commission to project manager. I had gotten to know Melody and manager quite well at this point. I trusted them and they trusted me. I was even trusted with equipment that's valued over 4K USD to be shipped to me in Melody's early development. So there's link here to a receipt here. So it seems like they really trusted each other, and it links to a receipt and DMs between the two parties about kind of the tech that they were using. And what's interesting here is he took the commission, then took it upon himself to be a project manager for all of this. He reiterates, though, that he was not on contract. All of this was trust between all of us with zero contract. Melody was also had router problems, so he became tech support for her. This is the DM link here, is to a DM between them saying, oh, I have issues with my network, saying you help with that, which makes sense, it's fine. I know that a lot of consumers, and speaking as someone who was working in retail, electronics retail, there are people who do not have any idea what routers do and how they work, even the naming. Like obviously, I can update about like, oh, actually, your router is actually a router and switch, blah blah blah. Like, I can go on about that, but yes, it's understandable. Some people might understand how to use VPNs or how networking works, and it makes some sense there. But just feels like over and over again in this document, I will repeat, he tries to sell himself as if he's done so much work. He's done a lot of work. I'm not going to deny that. But he tries to do a lot of work and then tries to justify saying, hey, I'm owed this. But there's no contract. There's nothing drawn out like that. It seems like this seems like they're all working together on good faith. And it just doesn't make sense that he's just, it seemed like we're starting working together official capacity soon. And I didn't stop to demand a contract when I was handling good portions of her overflow PR and being hit with opportunities for Melody, which I was forwarding to her manager and having a discussion with in Twitter DMs. Yes, I understand this was happening, that he was actually taking a lot of DMs. I even was, I guess, one of those overflow PR guys, because I wanted to talk to him about the technology behind it. I wanted to make a video about it, but I was never responded to, which is fair. It's fine. He was busy. I don't put against him for that at all. All of these hours spent on Melody were hours I wasn't working on paid projects and burned through my own savings. I had very close involvement, looked out for Melody and her manager far beyond my normal commission, as if my future depended on it. Nobody else cared this level or was trusted the level of information that was 100% honest. Enthusiasm was obvious dedication that earned me that. Great, good job. You did work. You worked hard. For the next 2 months, I was doing the following without pay. So just this giant chunk here is talking about the stuff that he has made for Melody, the toys that she used, Tom, so the little drones that were flying around her. So this is trying to prove to the reader, I've done all of this work, unpaid, and I deserve compensation. And it's just so funny to me, because we can just skip over all that. This entire time, I was not being paid, and she was getting bigger fast. Again, all this is a lot of stuff. I'll be honest, this is like a whole screen's worth of description and links to images and discussions of what he did for them. Even like the whole sponsorship he did. This is because I was good terms and I thought we were coming out in agreement of a service deal. Since everything was going well, this was the entire reason I did so much for Melody, and the team accepted it. Great, it's good that you're doing out of the kindness of your heart, but everything all points to that he wanted something out of it as well, which is, again, fair. Business is business. Service deal offered. So there's the start of the service deal. Since Melody and her manager didn't know that they needed help they asked the team what they needed to do. The Giga team then provided a list of people at our salary. So they gave kind of an idea of how this service deal would work if they want to continue working together under what will be Giga. So it came out to be around upwards of $45,000 a month, which sounds fair because it's going to be a team of people working full-time on that. And it includes staff, R&D, funding for the future studio that they maybe wanted, and the funding towards the goal of Melody's kind of like goal of a VTuber group, I would say, or virtual streamer group. And he even said, oh, you know, we even got like a 3-month trial in there because all in favor for them. It sounds just kind of funny to me. He's trying to, look how sweet I've made this for them. So the manager was unsure of the deal and the affordability, and claims but he claims that the Melody team could afford it. So they took some time to actually like calculate, oh, that's like only this portion is this portion of their salary, and they could definitely still afford it. Now, I don't know why this is in here. This is a weird inclusion in my opinion. This should have been maybe shifted off to another portion of this whole thing. It talks about his DeviantArt account being hacked, and he was trying to restore it, but he was frustrated with how DeviantArt or DA kind of dealt with it, and so he deleted the account afterwards. So after that, he talks about the continued talks about the service deal. In summary here, he thought that they were doing some, they had a good deal, but then Melody and her manager did some research and some digging on companies that might be able to offer similar services. And they found that they can be done for a similar or like a fraction of the price that they've been offered. And the image links to Mel DMing about their research. He says he felt betrayed. And I find that just weird, because this is how business works. They didn't outright just say, no, we don't want this deal. They went and did their research to find, okay, is this kind of like the going rate? Do they offer similar services? And said, hey, and it felt like they wanted to negotiate down from that $45,000 a month price, which is fair. I don't see why not. If you can get something for a similar like quality or similar product for a fraction of the cost, why not? But if they wanted to seem to continue work with Digi and his company, that's why they didn't just say no. I just kind of find it funny. They came back to negotiate. I see no problem here at all, personally. He goes over I wondered if these companies do the exact same thing, why did I spend months working for Melody? Well, as he said in his previous statements, he did it out of good faith that they would continue working together. Why did Melody approach me from the start when nobody else was interested? I mean, these are well-known companies, are available for a fraction of the price, right? I don't know, they didn't think it was successful. He thought it was going to be successful, right? That's why I'm assuming he accepted the project. Why didn't Melody name the company since they were well-known? That is a good statement right there. Maybe she wanted to protect their identities. Maybe they had a agreement not to reveal who they are. Why doesn't Melody share the quote? That kind of goes back with the privacy thing. So who knows what kind of privacy agreement they might have. How do these people providing their quote know what's involved at this point like I do? So that just basically saying, wow, I know this project very well. How can I know they're going to do a good job as I can? Why is this happening now? Melody is growing fast in popularity and making lots of money. I'm sorry, but I can be stingy too with money. And I like saving money. I don't know why this is a problem. The thing that gets me in hindsight, all of this is, what well-known company provides support like clipping, clothing, generic world with reused assets, other return? It sounds like they're trying to put down, he sounds like he's putting down other companies like, oh, they can't do a good job as me. Like, that sounds so petty. Service deal fallout. I had already been holding anger, so occasionally telling the fans tips go and find tech issues. So, we see here, it should have been going to the tech, but he felt annoyed that he wasn't getting money. Why didn't you ask for money, sir? So he wanted to leave for 2 reasons. The first reason is because he didn't feel like he was compensated properly. Second, he needed to make money again on his own projects. Fair. So that's why he's working on Waifu. So Melody, frankly, how I felt about the service deal issue, how to work to get the point of where it is as a deal, explaining that he was mad about, she kept dropping his credentials. So this is weird to me. I've seen, at least, with VTubers, they like to credit their artists and the riggers for what the work they've done. So it's kind of weird to me that he didn't want to be. Is it because he didn't want to be more harassed about people? He should have maybe said something about it. And he also complains about, later on, they removed my role from Discord. What the hell? Okay, pick one. Do you want to have attention or do you not want to have attention? So once he stopped communications with Melody and more focused on Waifu, he knows that a lot of original fans have come over from Melody expecting something different. But again, I don't know. This is funny because he, in later tweets, says, oh, I am no longer working. OG fans know. It's like, well, it would have been nice if there was an official statement on things. They said if I send a reasonable price, they will pay. But I knew this was a good chance. Melody's manager would want to get a good price on things felt lifted during the critical growth. I knew it would lead to an argument, so I didn't want to go that road yet. He talks about waifu, launched under a modeler, blah, blah, person worked with Melody. Waifu got a small amount of Melody's fans. That makes sense already. We'll talk about, again, he should have said something about that, because a lot of people kept talking about it. There's just one tweet, like, and expects people to know about that? Like, come on. I didn't know about that. I'm someone outside looking in. Like, that should have been public, so that there would have been less problems. He says this is where things start having problems. Melody apparently knew about the DeviantArt incident, where he got hacked and there was some doxing information about Melody's manager. Melody knew about that. Now, the weird thing is he then mentions the manager's name 3 times in a private DM to a mod. To me, that feels awful, because he said, oh, I want to talk to Vice about these things. And then later, she's worried about being doxxed as well. He saw no concern about talking it because it's public information. No, even if it's public, it is private. It was at first private information that shouldn't have been spread in the first place. And he then talks, hey, I want to talk to Vice. Now, Melody does respond in a kind of, how he says, off the handle. But she's defensive, and makes sense because he just easily doxed her manager to someone else, and she is worried that she might be doxed. I can understand that, but also I understand his side. Yeah, it's a bit too defensive. And talk about how she responds, how she doesn't really want him talking about them to Vice. Whatever led to her saying, not my intention, or thinking that way, would always been safe with me. For, like, how percent? Yeah, of course she's sensitive on the topic. That you just, like, the information has been doxed, and you already doxed them in a DM, like manager in a DM. Let's continue on. So he wanted to attempt to resolve things with Melody. He felt like waifu was being ignored due to Melody and others, influencers who cover or talk about Melody, not talking about them. So he wanted to waive all of the things that he's done, like the fees he would maybe have put for what he's done for her in the form of the gifts, the toms, all the assets as well, in exchange for interacting with waifu. I don't know if it's just me. I feel like he wanted some free advertising from Melody. Melody, though, did say, like, oh, I didn't really want to. I can pretend, like, I can put a face up for it. But Digi didn't like that. So, again, I don't know. He's like, free labor I did. I don't know. I'm making fun of him because he should have drafted something at least early on. He doesn't like that she wants to appear cooperative. So then he made an offer that would actually include money. He wasn't confident about Mel in interacting with waifu in the way he might have wanted, so he wanted a lump sum to relinquish his rights of Melody stuff, and Melody wanted to agree to paying. So we can go down, he wanted to just do a simple exchange of money and figure things out from there. And we can see here that this link goes to an image saying, this is the amount that I want for all the assets and things I've made for you. And she wanted to think about it, and then replaced all of his stuff with someone else's work. Now, fair, it kind of feels like a dick move to say, I might pay for it, and then don't pay for it. But also, it's a smart business decision to remove your kind of copyrighted work. Like for myself, I had assets that were clearly from someone else from my channel previously, before I got my Ray stuff all together, and even my logo together. It makes sense so that you can avoid any copyright issues. So I don't, in a way it seems like a dick move, but also it's a smart business decision that I can kind of respect. Again, this one is kind of gray to me. The only thing he kind of talked about for copyright was really more of the Nano D, a model that he made, and he made one, that OC of his, to make look like Melody for at least a few things, and even she used it in her VR chat. Now, embarrassment of using someone else's stuff you didn't promote. Now, this is the thing with the October Halloween stuff. Sorry, Melody tweeted out a tweet that was promoting her Halloween outfit. Now, we find out that in a tweet, he replied to saying, hey, that's my hat. Please don't use that. Or if you're going to use it, please credit me. And so to avoid that, Melody then asked her modeler, or the guy modeling that one guy, she took it down and then took another asset so that she can avoid any problems with that. So again, it's kind of fair. I don't see any problem with that. I don't know. I understand, yeah, you want to be credited, but if she doesn't want to deal with the problems with that, I see no issue with that at all. She blocks him over that. That's kind of what he says is the that caused her to block. She blocked him over pointing out the odd behavior, and there's no evidence of saying that's why she blocked him or that's why she deleted the tweet. But it makes sense to me how that worked out. He used the DMCA strike to try to resolve things. And I don't know, that feels a bit, like maybe he was desperate. Maybe that was the only thing he could have done. I don't know. But that felt like just, a dick move. That he could have tried to done more things peacefully. Conclusions. All of this should have ended much earlier, but it was handled badly by both of us. I feel because of these two people responding to me as Melody Identity, their backgrounds being different fields, it really sends mixed messaging with trying to feel out the situation. This is where I kind of agree with him as well. He was confused as who was actually running the Melody Twitter account. So I feel like maybe they should have actually done like a business email. That's one for Melody, one for a manager. Less confusion that way. There was another incident of my programmer. So this is where I gotta say I agree with Digi. I have a little bit of programming experience. Apparently, Melody's manager kind of skimped out on about $100 because they said, and we'll see some DMs here. If you want to click those links, go ahead. Saying like, oh, the research time or whatever time that you do not actually working on the actual code doesn't count to me. And that's a little unfair. For me, my example for that is that like when I'm making videos here, something like this, a majority of the time that I spend making the video is reading, like highlighting, summarizing, noting, all that other stuff, that pre-production, and recording the main video is a smaller part, and it's smoother because of that. I agree. Should have been paid more for that. And the funny thing here, it says, I do not do this kind of work normally, like do to people for remote. In fact, Melody was the only case. I typically make a design and a model and hand it off. Why then was this a different case for you? That's what I also want to know. Waifu wasn't part of it. Waifu never asked Digi to reach out to Melody, but he did it on his own volition. Anything he has done now for Waifu is on contract. Unlike Melody, which, good, you're getting paid for your work. That's good. And so the few that have been going on after Waifu have the same instincts to you and how you've been attacking someone who's not involved, which is fair. Don't harass people who are not involved or you don't think that you're not sure is involved. I agree with that. The future, when it comes to Melody, he's the only person who has been dealing with it. I did get stiffed on payment. No, clients know that I do not have problems with them ever. Well, yeah, because you didn't cause problems. You caused this problem. That's all I want to say. He gives all the problem. This is a weird one. It seems like kind of a preach to the choir. I shouldn't have copyright strike or the strike of Twitch was getting attention after the block. When her attention went down, I was willing to reinstate. I received the counter DMCA from Melody's manager and did not attempt to double down because of her losing the channel was not the goal. Makes sense. That statement just sounds like a preach to the choir. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know if it just sounds disingenuous to me. To clarify more, I'm disappointed in Melody's context-deprived statement that felt disingenuous to me and the community's handling of information. If maybe you've provided more information, this one, again, doesn't really solve anything for anyone. It's just, I'll say it again. I totally agree. I handled things wrong and did some shitty things, and I own up to that. Fair. But it feels unfair that I did so much to help Melody while others were reaping the rewards. I felt betrayed, and I still don't. And then, betrayed then, and I still do. But I'm letting this go. Last statement. In a way, this is a cautionary tale. I'll summarize that. He saying, "Hey, don't do work for free if you can actually get paid for it." God. Okay, let me just give my thoughts. If you want to close this video, go ahead now. If you want to hear my thoughts. Yeah, thank you for sticking around. But yeah, thank you for watching everything so far. I want to just put my thoughts out there about this whole thing. And a few notes here. This whole statement feels like he's stroking his own ego. Multiple times, it seems like he's putting down Melody and her manager, saying, oh, they don't seem like they know what they're doing. They don't know this business. They don't know how to use this and that. And they may be true. They may not have known some of these things. But there's no evidence on either side. Well, maybe there is, because I actually didn't really look. So, okay, full stop. I didn't really read those ones about his support and the images and stuff he did, but who knows? The weird one was like the line that says, oh, as well as offered help constantly on production value problems, explaining things as simple as the rule of thirds. A weird line to me, because he feels like I feel like he just wants to add to like his own value. Like, oh, look how much work I did. Like, it would make sense that you explain that to someone who has never worked with cameras or photography before. But I have a very, very reliable source, and I'm sorry I can't disclose it. But I know that Melody has had experience with cameras and photography in the past before working with Digi. In my opinion, this whole thing is just a whole bunch of fluff, trying to show his value. Oh, look how much I did. Readers, look at me. I've done all of this. But he admits there's no contracts were drafted. He sent no invoices for compensation. So whose fault is it really? I just see that it seems like it's all his fault. He's caused his own problems. So many times in this response, he said he was paid for his work, and yet he wanted to be paid for his work. He's never actually drafted anything. Again, everything seems to be the consequences of his own actions. Who's at fault here if you've done all of this work and you didn't ask for compensation? And did he explain why he privated his YouTube channel? Not at all. I would love to hear a response on that, but he's leaving this in 2020, so I won't say anything about that anymore, unfortunately. I feel like there is a bit of cowardice to him because he restricted the replies. He only let certain people reply to his tweet of this. And all of them, as I've seen so far, are in his favor, which is fine. People can be in favor of him. But to only allow favorable opinions, that's not a good way to try to solve an issue or discuss things. It also feels like he's insecure about himself, because this whole document, again, was fluff. Oh, look at how much I did. Well, I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and I didn't get paid for it. But also, I didn't have to get paid for it. Anyways, this is the end of the video. I heavily appreciate you guys sitting through this whole thing here. I know it's really long. I'm probably going to cut out pieces here and there to make it easier for you to digest, but if you watched all the way through here, thank you very much for watching. If you want to share this video for info for others to get out there, that'd be great. Leave your thoughts down below, and I'll see you hopefully in the next video that is the documentary on the VTubers and maybe other things as well. And I'll see you guys then.